Hi guys, hey, it's Diane Burrows with BirdSupplies.com. I'm the manufacturer of Unruffled RX bird collars, and this talk today is going to be about how to help your bird adjust to wearing a bird collar, a cone style bird collar in particular, faster and make this process go smoother. So if you've been on our website, you know that I offer a range of bird collars. Our cone collars are definitely our most popular style. And I think the reason is because they're just pretty much a traditional Elizabethan collar, and that's what people are used to. And we also offer them in a range of styles so that we can serve birds that are just mild pluckers all the way up to a bird that might be a severe plucker or mostly bald, even chewing into its skin. So we offer, several different styles to support different levels of birds. So let me talk with you a little bit about these different levels of styles. So when you think about feather plucking, a bird that's just starting out with the habit may have a couple of beraggled feathers and maybe a very small bald spot on its chest or wherever it's chosen to start plucking. And these birds tend to respond best to simply a diversion. So these bird collars, our slip-on style, in fact, is the collar that we recommend for a mild plucker, a bird that just has minor damage on it. These are pretty lightweight collars. Our bases are 2 layers thick, and then it has a 1 layer thick top that is sliced or cut so that the bird can preen it and engage in natural preening behaviors. So these slip on over the head. Now, if your bird has more bald spots than just a small one, say they're bigger or in a couple of different areas, you'd want to bump up to what's called our Velcro cone collar, which, obviously it attaches with Velcro. So this one again has that 2-layer fleece base, and then it has 2 layers on top. So it's a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier. It's also a lot easier for people to put on their bird and to take off, when they want to bathe their bird or let it groom for a little bit. So these are actually our most popular collar. Now, a bird that has advanced to being mostly bald or even chews into its skin, we call that self-mutilation. Birds will chew under their wings, maybe a hole in their chest. A lot of birds chew the skin off their legs and feet when they get very compulsive about their plucking and their mutilation. And so they need a stronger, stiffer, thicker collar like this fringy cone. So when you compare the fringy cone, obviously, to the slip-on style, you can see that this is much thicker. It lays, it's got the stiffener inside, so it doesn't flop. It's a little harder for the bird to pick this part up and continue its mutilation or its plucking. And then this very thick fleece here stabilizes the neck. And this one again shuts with the Velcro closure. And so these are for the most severe of pluckers. And each one of these collars actually has the same base style. So the only difference between how you put them on is this one slips over the head, whereas the Velcro styles, attach with Velcro. Now, some birds have learned, the more compulsive a bird's plucking has become, meaning the longer they've been plucking and the more severe the plucking is. These are the birds that just really turn into almost Houdini types. They can escape these bird collars because that's how anxious they are to get to their plucking habit. And so we found a solution for these kind of birds, and we use a product called Moleskin. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a flannel-based fabric that has an adhesive backing. And so we sell it in these 2-inch by 12-inch strips. And the way you would use moleskin is you would measure this area right here where the collar actually has the Velcro stitched to it. So you would measure that and cut the strip to about that length. And then when you put the bird collar on the bird, and if you know that your bird's compulsive in the first place, I wouldn't even let it learn how to use the Velcro. I would put this on as soon as possible. But once you have that little 2.5 inch strip or whatever the strip size for your collar is, you just attach it to both sides, making sure that where it's overlapping, each side has some of this moleskin adhesive attached to it. And you got to kind of rub it in so that the adhesive adheres to the fibers. So that's how you deal with a bird that learns how to open the Velcro. About 10% of birds are that compulsive that they literally rip this collar off as quickly as they can. And then it gets very discouraging if you don't have a solution of how to deal with that. Now, another issue that people worry about is when they get the bird collar, they might notice that, say, the neck hole seems kind of small. And we make the neck hole small on purpose because not all birds have a big neck. You know, some birds have a smaller head and a smaller neck, and others have a bigger. Just depends on the species. So with all of our bird collars, they have the same stitching pattern on the underside. We've got our kind of signature star, if you will. But you'll notice that around the neck hole, there's 2 lines of stitching, as well as around the perimeter, there's 2 lines of stitching. So you can trim the neck hole to fit, and you can trim the perimeter to fit. You can make the neck hole bigger by cutting what we call notches. And a notch is just a V-shaped cut where you would cut maybe 3 V's up to this first line of stitching here, and kind of stretch it out again a little bit because fleece is pretty stretchy fabric, and see if then you could get it over your bird's head or get the Velcro closed. And if not, you can go up to that second level of stitching, but not past the second level because then the collar would kind of fray apart. So keep it somewhere in the middle of there if you can. But just those notches help to make that neck hole up to 1 inch bigger. So that's a lot of room, and most of these collars will fit most birds. Now, if your bird is tripping over the collar when you put it on, so you put it on over their head and this part drapes down their body, if this part actually extends, say, down past their hip area, then you know that your bird may have trouble walking or eating in the collar. And I'd give it a day or so before trimming it, personally, just because a lot of birds learn how to adapt to the collar. And you're only going to experience the length issues with these 2 styles. So the slip-on and the Velcro closure. But if you notice after a few days that your bird is still tripping over the collar, just take a pair of scissors and trim the perimeter all around to make it a little bit shorter. Even if you take a 1/4 inch off, that'll take a 1/2 inch off of this 2.5 inch. So it'll take about 20% of the length off. And that'll really help your bird adapt to wearing the collar. So, just to recap, the second way to really help your bird adjust to wearing a bird collar is to make sure that it fits properly. And we've built that into our designs. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is literally involves work on your part, if you will. So you need to help your bird develop the physical stamina and the emotional stamina to tolerate these collars. I've already mentioned, I believe, that birds that feather pluck tend to be more anxious than other birds. And not only that, a bird that's plucking all day long or several hours a day, rather than exercising and exploring its environment and playing with toys and that sort of thing, these birds don't have much stamina because they're kind of a perch potato, if you will. They're out of shape. And a lot of these birds are just reticent to try and eat a varied diet that they need in order to get all their nutritional needs met. And so these birds don't have the stamina. And so with these birds, you don't want to put the collar on and just leave it on. You want to help the bird build physical stamina. It'd be like if you were carrying a backpack. If you had to carry it all day long, it would get tiresome pretty quick. But if you worked your way up, starting in 10, 15-minute increments, and then built your time up, you would gain the physical strength to carry the backpack. Same thing with these collars. So work up slowly over the course of a couple of weeks to help your bird build the stamina to tolerate the weight of the collar and the feel of the collar against its feathers. Now, in terms of emotional stamina, a lot of times our birds are kind of nervous and stuff, and we try to console their behavior. A lot of people will talk to the bird and try and console it when they catch it feather plucking. But that's kind of the opposite of what you need to do. You need to start thinking about using a concept called positive reinforcement. So the theory behind positive reinforcement, which is a well-researched, science-backed behavior theory, is that the behaviors that get the most reinforcement from you, the caretaker, are the behaviors that the bird's going to repeat over and over again. So you've got to kind of turn around what you're paying attention to. You're going to want to start picking out a few natural parrot behaviors and really reinforce those. Now, natural parrot behaviors are just behaviors that I already kind of described, exploring around their cage, playing with toys, proper preening, eating a varied diet, chirping and communicating with you. Those are natural parrot behaviors, and there's plenty more, but I don't have time in this video to go over all of them. But pick a couple of those behaviors and really make it a point to reinforce those. Now, the best way to reinforce a behavior is to use what's called clicker training. I loved clicker training because it really teaches you how to use positive reinforcement to reinforce the behaviors you want to see much more of, and to totally ignore the behaviors and pretend like they're not existing, like feather plucking, so that your bird starts gravitating toward these behaviors that get them much more attention. So clicker training is essentially where you teach the bird that this click sound that the device makes is you marking the behavior and telling the bird, hey, you just did something right and you're going to get a treat for this. Get a clicker, figure out what your bird's favorite treats are. I've got some videos on that if you need help. And then choose 2 or 3 of these behaviors, these natural parrot behaviors that you want to start reinforcing. And hopefully they're behaviors that encourage the bird to explore its environment and move about more and start enjoying its environment more, as opposed to focusing in on itself. So the more that you use positive reinforcement, the more your bird will gravitate toward those behaviors. Now, as behaviorists, we know that one of the most effective things that you can do besides enhancing parrot wellness is to use positive reinforcement and train your bird appropriately for the behaviors that you want to see more of. You can even use clicker training to teach your bird all kinds of tricks and help it really expand its horizons. I mean, your bird is as smart as a 5-year-old, and so the more things you can teach it, the less stress it's going to have and the less inclined it's going to be to pluck anyway. So positive reinforcement is really your friend, and I really want you to consider using that. So I've talked about 3 ways to help your bird adjust to a new cone-style bird collar. Choose the appropriate level based on your bird's plucking habits. Trim the collar so that it fits appropriately and is as comfortable as possible, and help your bird build not only its physical stamina, but its emotional stamina with training and on your part. So I hope that helps. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I like to put out videos every couple of weeks or more. They're a lot of work to put together, but I do them as frequently as I can. And when people subscribe to my channel and like my videos, it kind of inspires me to create more useful videos. If you have some ideas of things that you've tried that are safe and ethical, that have helped your parrot adapt to a bird collar, hey, let us know. I mean, we're a community, and the more we share with each other, helpful, science-backed, safe solutions, the more our parrot friends will enjoy their quality of life, if you will. So until next week, I hope you enjoyed the video, and happy collar training. Thanks. Bye.